today we're going to be talking about this big black monstrosity of a roller coaster located in some park in Poland. And yes, that's of course the amazing Energylandia. This huge park already has 19 roller coasters, but this is one of the best. And in my opinion, I would actually rate it higher than another very good roller coaster in the park. But we'll leave that for later in this review. To save the viewers from a 10-minute video, I'm going to talk about this as fast as possible, so let's go. Hyperion is a very rare Intamin Hyper Coaster that opened in 2018 at Energylandia. And damn, this roller coaster is big. It is actually the biggest roller coaster in Europe with a lift hill. Hyperion stands 253 feet tall, and that is 77 meters. The drop is 82 meters, and that is 269 feet tall. The length of this ride is 4,760 feet, and that is 1.4 kilometers. The maximum speed is 88 miles per hour, and that is 142 kilometers per hour. So we're dealing with a very tall and very fast roller coaster. So now let's talk about the exciting part of this roller coaster. I'm gonna go through the whole layout, and then I'm gonna experience what you feel when you ride Hyperion. And surprisingly, Hyperion actually have a decently themed roller coaster station and queue line. The queue line for Hyperion is actually very futuristic, and that is also because it is themed to a space launch, of course. You have this very long inclined queue line where you follow a blue LED strip, and this queue line is very weird because then it takes you outside and then you go down some stairs before you reach the station. And the best thing about this station and queue line is you can decide where you sit. Before the station there are some screens that showcases the different rows, and the trains on Hyperion of course have these excellent Intamin lap bars. It is also very important to mention that these are wing style trains. In the two middle seats your feet are flying, and in the two wing seats your feet are on the ground. Unfortunately, this ride can be uncomfortable on the wing seats because they have a big rattle. That's why the two middle seats are king. Then Hyperion prepares you for takeoff, and then it takes you up this huge lift hill. And damn, Hyperion really has a world-class first drop. Riders in the front receive floater airtime, while riders in the back experience ejector airtime because they get pulled by the whole train. And this huge drop is almost vertical. It is 85 degrees, so this is a banger. Hyperion quickly flies through a tunnel, which gives a great head jobber element. After that, Hyperion flies through a big airtime hill. This airtime hill creates strong flowjector airtime for many seconds, and that is why it's one of the best airtime hills on hypercoasters. And then Hyperion actually goes through an inversion, which is very weird for a hypercoaster. I would call this element a weirdly profiled dive loop because half of the element is an airtime hill and the next is the inversion where it turns down. As riders quickly float up the seats, they violently get turned and twisted with strong lateral g-forces in the air. That's why this is one of Hyperion's iconic elements. Then the riders quickly dive down and fly into a low to the ground wave turn. This wave turn twists riders to the left, giving strong lateral g-forces. After that, the riders flow into a very little airtime hump, giving floater airtime throughout the whole train, and then it flies into another big airtime hill. But this airtime hill sadly doesn't hit like the first one. Like Millennium Force's airtime hills, this one is very drawn out, so it only gives a little bit of floater airtime throughout the whole train. Following this, Hyperion flies through a big overbank turn. The train takes this overbank with a decent pace, creating decent positive g-forces. Then the riders yet again hit another floater airtime pop before going into another wave turn. This wave turn banks to the right and creates strong lateral g-forces yet again. Then Hyperion flies through a low to the ground bank turn, creating decent positive g-forces for the riders. Then Hyperion quickly turns to the left, and then it goes into a little S-hill that creates strong floater airtime for the whole train. Hyperion's final element is an airtime hill, and this airtime hill creates decent flowjector airtime for the whole train. Not to mention the riders can still feel a bit of water hitting their face because they have a little water jet element just after the little airtime hill, which creates a great ending for Hyperion as it goes into the trim brakes. And that concludes Hyperion's whole ride layout. Now I'm going to be talking about my overall thoughts about this roller coaster. I'm going to give some pros, some cons, and then I'm going to give it a score from 1 to 10. If you're used to riding B&M Hyper Coasters, this will really surprise you. Hyperion overall creates stronger forces and has a lot of variety in its layout. And this might be a controversial opinion, but I actually like it better than Sadra. The drop in the back row of Hyperion is a world class because it's so big and so steep. And not to mention the airtime hill, which is one of the best in the world with sustained flowjector airtime, and the world class inversion with whippy laterals. And then the rest of Hyperion's ride stays low to the ground, which is very exceptional because it's a hyper coaster, of course. And yet again, Hyperion still delivers with positive and negative g-forces. The only half dull moments on Hyperion in my opinion could be the long drawn out floater airtime hill, and of course the overbank turn. Sitting on the wing seats, these wave turns of course have a strong lateral force, and also the dive loop, it feels more aggressive, but that comes with the cost of a few rattles, man, and the rattles could be uncomfortable. So what score am I going to give Hyperion? I'm going to give Hyperion a 9.5 out of 10. Hyperion really has a few world class airtime moments, where the airtime is way stronger than your typical B&M Hyper Coaster. This roller coaster also has a variety because it combines big elements with small elements and it still works. But Hyperion still has a few elements that aren't so perfect, and that is why it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 for me. And the wing seats are also a bit uncomfortable because of the rattle. So in the end, that concludes my review of Hyperion. So did you love it? Did you hate it? Have you ridden Hyperion? Would you like to ride Hyperion? And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you really loved the video, please give me a bit of support, maybe a like, a comment, a subscription, I don't know, but at the end that's your choice. Bye bye.